Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. The mic squealed under the patio lights, sharp and mean. I'm around 27, and my hands shook. Grease shimmered on a paper plate in my grip. Smoke from the grill drifted sweet and heavy. Who wants to get burned in front of friends? Liam tapped the mic, and it thumped. His red cup sweated onto the plywood stage. Laughter rolled under the string lights like small waves. I smelled lighter fluid near the aluminum tray. Why did he keep looking at me last? "Thanks for coming," he said. He adjusted the mic stand with slow fingers. The speaker hissed, and someone shushed a kid. I rubbed my thumb along a plastic fork. My name hovered unsaid like thunder. "Family is earned," he said. He raised the cup, and ice clicked hard. Perfume from the next table cut the charcoal smell. A napkin stuck to my palm like tape. Was this toast a blade? Phones lifted and flashed in little bursts. The crowd hummed, and a cicada buzzed. A folding chair scraped concrete behind me. I stared at the cake topper, glittering gold. Who sets glitter beside gasoline words? My adoptive brother stood in the doorway, perfect posture. Ethan's watch caught the porch light like a signal. His cologne floated above the hot dogs and onions. A glass bowl of pickles sat untouched. What did that shine mean for me? My mom clutched a tissue near the cooler. Her bracelet rattled, and her breath went thin. The cooler lid thumped as someone grabbed ice. I smelled citrus soda fizzing over the rim. "Please," her eyes said without sound. Liam cleared his throat near the banner. The banner said "Family Forever" in white paint. The speaker popped once, and the pop stung. A metal bottle opener glinted on the bar. "Not every bond deserves that word," he said. A kid lit a sparkler, and it hissed bright. The hiss covered my name as it faltered. My paper plate bent under the pulled pork. Barbecue sauce smeared my knuckle, sticky and warm. How many ways can one word break? "I don't consider Mara my family," he said. He wiped the mic with a square of tissue. The tissue shredded, and fibers clung like dust. The cake knife flashed beside the sheet cake. Whose hand chooses a knife during a speech? Laughter died fast under the patio canopy. The canopy trapped heat and the smell of beer. A metal fan rattled but barely moved air. A stack of plastic cups leaned and trembled. I could feel everyone waiting for me. "Say that again," I said. My voice sounded smaller than the buzzing light. I set the bent plate on a wobbling table. A corkscrew lay beside a sweating wine bottle. "How small do I have to be?" "It's about values," Liam said. He rolled his shoulders, and the mic cord scraped. The cord snaked across a blue cooler lid. I tasted ash as smoke drifted across us. His smile looked rehearsed, didn't it? Ethan lifted 2 fingers for quiet. The patio string bulbs hummed like distant bees. His ring tapped the door glass once. A metal tray clinked near the grill and jumped. "Let's keep this peaceful," he said. Peace felt like a joke beside that mic. The electric heater ticked in the corner. My napkin tore down the center line. I smelled burned sugar from the dripping glaze. What peace leaves one person bleeding? "Finish your speech," I said. I straightened a crooked salt shaker on the bar. The wood felt sticky, and my fingertips dragged. The speaker's cone pushed air across my face. "If words are weapons, aim away from me." Liam breathed in like the hero on stage. His cuff brushed the stand, and fabric rasped. A glass candle flickered against a mason jar. I heard the pool filter hum behind us. He swallowed and looked right through me. He thanked the donors and the neighbors first. He thanked the coach and the boss next. The mic clicked as he changed grip again. A stack of paper plates slid and fanned. I tasted metal under my tongue. "Some people ride a last name," he said. He sipped, and ice knocked the cup wall. The porch bulb buzzed, and moths battered it. A bucket of bottled water sweated on the step. "I work for mine," he added. Wind pushed smoke across the picnic table. The table splinters pressed into my palm. My mom's tissue twisted into a thin rope. The cooler creaked as someone reached for lime. I felt every eye hook into me. I stepped forward, and shoes scuffed grit. The grit scratched my heel inside the sneaker. A stack of white bowls shook when I brushed them. I smelled sunscreen baked into the plastic chairs. "You finished yet?" I asked. Liam lowered the mic, and silence grew. The silence buzzed louder than the speaker ever did. A bottle cap rolled to the drain and stuck. He held a metal stand like a railing. "We're done here," he said. Done meant doors closing, one by one. The patio light threw hard shadows on brick. My fork hit the plate and made a thin ring. I wiped my fingers with a rough towel. Was I leaving, or was I sent? I reached the side gate without rushing. The gate latch felt cold and gritty. A clay pot wobbled and scraped my knee. I smelled wet soil as the pot steadied. How far does a yard stretch when you're watched? "Stay for cake," my mom said. Her voice shook, and the knife tapped the plate. Frosting swirled under the harsh kitchen glow. She held a small paper plate like a shield. "Please," she said again, smaller. "I'll call you tomorrow," I said. My breath fogged a little in the cooler air. The metal latch pressed a line into my palm. A citronella candle guttered near the step. Tomorrow sounded like a bridge made of thread. Ethan didn't move from the doorway at all. The door frame threw a long bar of shadow. His watch face winked like a tiny moon. A folded place card lay crushed under his shoe. He nodded once like a judge. I pushed the latch, and it clicked loud. The click cut through the fan and chatter. Gravel crunched under my soles like glass. The trash bin lid rattled when wind found it. Who was I outside that fence? A neighbor lifted his phone near the hedge. The screen glowed pale against the dark leaves. I smelled laundry soap from his clean shirt. A beer bottle leaned on the fence post. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "I'm fine," I said. The word felt dusty on my tongue. My keys dug into my palm through denim. A street lamp threw a thin halo on the hood. Fine never sounded so far from true. Behind me, someone popped a balloon. The pop cracked, and laughter followed, too bright. A plastic tablecloth snapped in the breeze. Frosting smeared on a paper plate like paint. The party kept moving without me. I reached my car, and the handle was warm. Warm metal stuck to my fingers with sweat. A pine air freshener hung from the mirror. The night smelled like smoke under the pine. I watched the gate through the windshield. The gate stood half open like a mouth. The porch bulbs buzzed, and moths kept dying. A lone flip-flop sat crooked near the step. I heard the pool lap softly against tile. My name still quivered in the air. I started the engine, and it coughed. The dashboard glowed a tired orange and green. A crumpled receipt slid off the console. My chest tightened under the seatbelt strap. What'd I be tomorrow without them? I eased onto the street. No horn, just breath. Streetlights strobed across the hood like slow waves. A grocery cart stood abandoned by the curb. The cart squeaked as wind nudged its wheel. I did not look back again. My phone rattled across the table, sharp and urgent. Streetlights spilled a thin bar across the couch. The fabric scratched my wrist as I grabbed it. The ceramic coaster stuck to the case and fell. "Who calls this late with a block number?" "Oh," I said. A breathy hum filled the line like air vents. I stared at a chipped mug on the shelf. The room smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. "Is this a bad time?" she asked. "It's fine," I said. I stood and pressed the cold window glass. Headlights slid over the opposite brick wall. My keys clinked on a bowl by the door. "I'm calling from the registry," she said. Her keyboard clicked like small metronomes. I watched dust float through the yellow lamplight. A folded blanket rasped under my palm. "We flagged a strong match," she said. Strong sounded like a dare, didn't it? "Walk me through it," I said. The wood floor creaked under my bare heel. My notebook lay open with a snapped elastic. The air tasted like old coffee from the sink. "We confirmed travel and health first," she said. She asked about fevers and ink and surgeries. I traced a ring mark on the table. The fridge motor kicked on with a low growl. She said she needed honest answers tonight. Night stretched around my little lamp. "No travel, no new ink," I said. I rubbed the frayed edge on the sofa arm. Rain tapped once against the thin window. A grocery flyer lay curled near my shoe. "You're eligible for further testing," she said. "What does strong match mean?" I asked. I pushed a pencil across the notebook margin. The graphite squeaked softly in the quiet room. The plug on the extension cord felt warm. It means you could be the one, she said. I wrote could in the center and boxed it. The lampshade gave off a dusty smell. A small cactus leaned toward the glass like need. I heard her steady, typing through the pause. The pause told me everything and nothing. We schedule labs in the morning, she said. I opened the drawer and found a clean pen. The drawer handle felt loose under my fingers. Headlights flicked past and faded down the street. You'll receive hospital details by text, she said. Which hospital? I asked. My voice scraped like I had swallowed salt. A chipped plate leaned against the drying rack. The radiator pinged twice like coins dropped. Downtown General, she said quietly. I wrote the name under a harsh circle. The paper scratched as the pen dug in. A cracked photo frame faced the wall on purpose. The room felt colder than the thermostat allowed. I need the recipient code, I said. I can't share that tonight, she said. A chair leg wobbled under my shifting weight. Blue light from the router blinked like breath. The smell of rain grew stronger near the sill. I can share the last name soon, she said. Soon means when? I asked. I tapped the pencil tip against my thumb. A spoon on the counter clicked with each tap. The lamplight showed new scratches on the table. Expect a second call within the hour, she said. The line went silent and then clicked. Silence pulsed like a tired heartbeat in walls. A matchbook from a diner lay under the bowl. I turned it over and over with my nail. Could I do this without looking back? I poured water, and the faucet wheezed. Steam fogged the glass as the kettle sang. A chipped enamel mug warmed under my hands. The lemon scent sagged under the smell of metal. How many promises fit in one cup? My phone buzzed again beside the notebook. The screen lit my knuckles a washed-out white. A paperclip sat bent like a narrow spine. I swiped and lifted the phone to my ear. This is me, I said. Thanks for waiting, she said. Her voice sounded careful like a nurse's hands. I pressed a fingertip into the soft couch seam. Rain hissed louder against the thin pane. The last name is Quinn, she said. I stared at the word until it blurred. The kettle clicked as the heat shut off. A single receipt slid from the notebook cover. I tasted copper and swallowed too fast. I understand, I said. We can arrange transport if needed, she said. I loosened my grip and set the phone down. The cord to the lamp brushed my ankle lightly. The mug handle dug into my palm like a hook. I can get there myself, I said. She listed times and the order of draws. I jotted each step with tight letters. The pencil left smudges along the notebook edge. The router light blinked like a patient eye. Text will confirm in 5 minutes, she said. Will anonymity hold? I asked. The radiator hissed like a warning beside me. A cardboard box leaned under the window ledge. The room felt crowded with air and unknowns. It may not with family matches, she said. My throat tightened on the word family. The spoon on the counter touched the mug rim. The metal ticked as it cooled in place. Streetlight pooled on the floor in a pale square. I steadied my breathing like a drill. If you choose no, we respect that, she said. Her calm lived inside the tiny speaker crackle. A pen cap rolled off the table and tapped. Lemon cleaner ghosted everything without hiding the fear. I'll decide before morning, I said. I ended the call and stood still. Pipes thumped once above the ceiling like boots. A small plant shifted in the drafty window. The notebook waited with a word could boxed. How heavy can 4 letters feel? I opened my messages and stared long. The screen brightness stung my eyes with cold light. A rubber band snapped when I fidgeted. A draft text blinked with no words yet. Who do you warn first in a storm? A new message lit the corner banner. The tone popped sharp like a bubble wrap snap. A magnet held a grocery list on the fridge. The message said tests confirmed compatibility in preliminary screens. Preliminary sounded like a loaded spring. Reply Y to confirm scheduling, the text said. I wiped my palms on my jeans and breathed. The couch fabric scratched my fingertips like thread. A dull headache pressed just behind my eyes. I typed the letter with a shaking thumb. The confirmation ping echoed in the quiet. The sound bounced off the glass coffee table. The plant's soil smelled damp from last watering. Another text followed with an intake time. Morning now had a shape and a door. I packed a small backpack with slow care. The zipper teeth scraped like tiny saws. A folded hoodie slid against a clean t-shirt. I tucked the notebook into the front pocket. Decisions travel better on paper, right? I filled a water bottle at the sink. Chlorine ghosted the air with a pool smell. A cracked bowl waited by the drying rack. The bottle bumped the tap and rang slightly. Small sounds suddenly felt huge. I printed nothing because there was nothing yet. The printer light glowed stubborn and green. A lone envelope rested on the side tray. I rested my hand on the plastic lid. My hand shook like it remembered another night. My phone buzzed again on the table. The vibration made the ceramic coaster chatter. The lamplight threw long shadows across the rug. Unknown number asked if I needed a ride. Need sat heavy between throat and tongue. I'll walk, I typed back. My thumb hesitated and then pressed send. The couch cushion breathed out a soft wheeze. A receipt corner scratched my wrist like paper teeth. Walking felt like the right kind of hard. I set an alarm and killed the lamp. The room sighed into darkness with slow relief. The router light still blinked in a tiny rhythm. My backpack leaned against the door like a guard. Sleep came in thin threads if it came. Pipes cracked again like distant fireworks. Headlights swept the ceiling and then vanished. The blanket's edge rasped my cheek as I turned. My phone face down glowed faintly through fabric. Would I answer if they tried tonight? I woke before the alarm with a start. The radiator hummed like a tire machine. Pale blue crept around the edges of blinds. My shoes sat side by side like centuries. Dawn waited with a clipboard and pen. I washed my face and breathed steam. The mirror showed tired eyes under hard light. A cotton towel scratched a little against skin. The toothbrush clinked against the sink once. Today smelled like antiseptic already. I slung the backpack over one shoulder. The strap dug into skin with familiar weight. Keys jingled when I picked up the bowl. The door chain slid back with a thin rasp. I stepped into the hall and listened. Downstairs, someone's TV murmured through a door. The stair rail felt cold and slightly sticky. A flyer curled on the corkboard near the exit. Morning seeped in through the glass like milk. I gripped the handle and paused. Outside, the air bit clean and damp. A bus sighed at the corner by the mailbox. The metal lid on the trash bin clattered shut. Coffee smells drifted from the deli across. Every step clicked like a countdown now. Automatic doors sighed open, and cold air bit hard. Disinfectant rode the light like a white glare. A plastic pamphlet stand wobbled beside the mat. My fingers tightened on my thin wallet. Was this where a yes becomes a blade? I'm here for labs, I said. The intake clerk looked up through smudged lenses. Her badge string rubbed against the counter edge. A jar of black pens sat like darts. Photo ID and time of birth, she said. I slid the card across the scratched surface. The scanner beeped once like a small alarm. A cracked stapler leaned near a box of forms. The room smelled like old coffee under bleach. I kept my eyes steady on her hand. Relation to recipient, she asked. Her keyboard clacked fast under dim lamps. A rubber wrist rest squeaked as she shifted. A stack of yellow wristbands waited in a tray. I'm a registered donor, I said. A nurse pushed a cart that rattled softly. The wheels squealed as they hit a seam. A metal blood pressure cuff dangled like loose armor. Powdered glove smell drifted in short bursts. The nurse nodded toward the waiting chairs. I sat where the light hit hardest. The vinyl seat felt sticky against my skin. A bent magazine curled like a dead leaf. Monitors chimed down the hall in uneven beats. My heartbeat tried to match them and failed. Footsteps scraped, then stopped behind me. Perfume cut through the antiseptic like fruit. A crumpled tissue appeared at my elbow. Please talk to him, my mom said. Her words shook like glass on a shelf. Where is he? I asked. I stood too fast and gripped the chair arm. The plastic bit into my palm with ridges. Overhead lights buzzed like quiet bees. Isolation ward, she said. A shadow crossed the floor like a tide. The smell of cologne arrived before the man. A silver watch flashed like a lighthouse blink. You shouldn't be here, Ethan said. He adjusted his tie like a habit. I'm scheduled, I said. My voice came low under the fluorescent hum. A clipboard edge pressed into my hip. The hand sanitizer pump clicked once. I speak to him directly, I said. Security will guide you later, he said. He tilted his head and smiled too flat. A laminated visitor pass tapped against his chest. The air felt colder around that little card. Who decides later when time bleeds now? A tech called my name from a doorway. The door hinge squeaked like it needed oil. A steel tray, weighted with narrow tubes. Lemon wipes scented the space in sharp snaps. I followed the sound like a hook. Left arm or right? She asked. She snapped the tourniquet with a rubber hiss. A cotton ball scratched my skin with tiny fibers. A red-top vial glimmered under bright task light. Left works better, I said. The needle slipped and heat flushed my face. The vacuum hissed as the tube filled slow. A gauze pad soaked the smell of iron. A blue cap clicked closed like a seal. How many clicks measure a promise? Additional swabs today, she said. She held a swab stick like a match. The sterile pouch tore with a papery shriek. A metal bowl held caps like bright candies. Open and hold, she said. I parted my lips and cotton scraped gently. The light washed the room into flat color. A box fan hummed in the corners softly. The swab turned and collected quiet cells. Quiet things can change loud lives, right? She labeled each tube with neat spelling. The printer spat labels in quick cheeps. A small biohazard bag crinkled as she packed. Alcohol pads stung my skin like winter air. Sit 5 minutes, she said. I stepped back into the hallway glare. Wheels squealed as a bed rolled past quick. A pink basin rattled against the side rail. I caught my mom's sleeve near the exit sign. Her breath came thin, like she had been running. He asked for you, she said. Her eyes shone under the harsh white strip. A vending machine hummed beside a cracked bench. She squeezed my wrist and then let go. He's scared, she added. Ethan watched from near a hand-washing poster. The faucet dripped one bright silver tear. A plastic soap bottle sat half-collapsed. We have protocols, he said. His voice carried like a courtroom bell. Protocols include consent, I said. I touched the bandage on my arm lightly. The gauze edge felt rough against tender skin. A call light binged behind a half-closed door. I talked to him without you, I said. A unit clerk waved a visitor badge. The badge string twisted like a thin rope. The desk lamp cast a small amber pool. One at a time, she said. Her voice cut like a friendly knife. My mom pressed a folded note into my palm. The paper warmed quick under my skin. I smelled her hand lotion, faint and sweet. The note held a room number in blue ink. Numbers can lead to doors or traps. I walked the corridor, and Sauls whispered. The floor wax smelled slick and chemical. A bin of gowns leaned against a cart. Lights blinked above each door like little storms. My steps counted down to a truth. At the window, I saw him smaller. The isolation glass threw back my own face. A plastic pitcher sweated beside a cracked straw. The monitor painted his chest in green hills. He looked up like he had heard my name. I raised my hand, and he mirrored it. The glove dispenser clicked as I pulled one. Powder dusted the air like quiet snow. The door mechanism buzzed before it released. I crossed the threshold into bright, sterile heat. Hi, he said. His voice rasped like concrete underwater. The blanket pilled against his wrist in knots. The floor pump clicked each new second. Thanks for coming, he said. I set my backpack beside the chair. The zipper teeth flashed like tiny steel smiles. The room smelled like saline and lemon. I pulled a chair closer and sat. What price lives inside one word yes? I dragged the chair closer, and the legs squealed. The fluorescent glare flattened his face into paper. A plastic cup sweated beside the call button. Antiseptic stung my nose like a dare. You meant it that night, I said. The monitor ticked between us like a metronome. The blanket pilled rough against his wrist. He looked at the four-pole like it might answer. I was cruel, he said. His breath rasped and fogged the mask edge. A pen lay capped on the tray near Goss. He reached for it and then stopped. Conditions first, I said. My palm found the cool metal bed rail. The overhead light buzzed and then steadied. The pen rolled a half-inch toward me. Name them, he said. He shifted and winced like something tore. A plastic wristband flashed under the hard light. My throat felt sanded by the air. Delete the video, I said. My phone vibrated once in my pocket. The corkboard on the wall held a faded schedule. His eyes closed like he had swallowed glass. I can, he said. He lifted a cracked screen and hesitated. The antiseptic smell grew sharper in the pause. His thumb hovered over a tiny trash icon. Do it now, I said. I leaned forward and watched the reflection jump. A folded tissue lay by the water pitcher. The monitor kept time like a judge. He tapped, and the screen went blank. The device chimed softly like a small bell. A charging cable coiled on the table like rope. His shoulders dropped a fraction under the sheet. Next, I said. The air vent rattled and then fell quiet. A legal pad sat under the tray lid. I slid it out and clicked a dull pen. You will post the truth, I said. The pen scratched lines across the yellow page. The wall clock clicked toward the half hour. I wrote the exact phrase and underlined it. I will read what I write, he said. His finger traced the paper edge for courage. The call button glowed a steady amber dot. His eyes fixed on the slow drip line. The door latch clicked once behind me. Cologne drifted in like polished smoke. A laminated badge flashed near the dispenser. You need to coordinate, Ethan said. I am coordinating consent, I said. I stood without moving my feet at all. The hand sanitizer pump gleamed under the bright strip. Ethan's watch face winked like a blade. This family has channels, he said. He tugged his cuff and kept his voice smooth. A clipboard leaned against the Sharps box. I looked at the box and then at him. No branding, I said. The AC thrummed and brushed cold across skin. A poster on the wall showed safe handling. No logos and no charity tags, I added. That is extreme, he said. His jaw flexed and then stilled like stone. A plastic chair scraped as he shifted stance. The room held the sound like a bite. You can leave, I said. My fingers pressed the rail until they hurt. The paper gown crackled when Liam swallowed. Ethan stared at the ceiling tile like it mattered. I will stay quiet, Ethan said. He took one step back toward the corner. The biohazard bin lid thumped and settled. Quiet sounded like a loaded promise. You will pay for counseling, I said. I tore a sheet and wrote the provider name. The scent of photocopy toner clung to the pad. The metal tray shivered when I set it down. I will cover everything, Liam said. His voice steadied as if wrapped in cloth. A box of tissues stood ready by the clock. He reached for one and held it tight. We schedule sessions before education, I said. I tapped the pen against the legal pad's spine. The glare off the monitor cut my eyes. I circled the word before 3 times. He nodded and pulled the blanket higher. The fabric rasped across the stubble on his arm. The plastic pitcher burped a tiny bubble. His nod felt like a hinge loosening. You speak for yourself, I said. My breath fogged the face shield's lower edge. A capped syringe gleamed near the alcohol swabs. No ghostwriting and no coaching, I added. I understand, he said. He rubbed his wristband until it squeaked. The pulse oximeter beeped a warning and calmed. His fingers went still on the sheet. A nurse rolled in a cart softly. Wheels murmured like whispers on polished tile. A digital thermometer rested beside a gray cuff. She glanced at the pad and then at me. Vitals now, she said. She slid the probe with a practiced flick. The cuff hugged his arm with rubber bite. The cart's metal edge brushed my hip lightly. I will be quick, she said. Her badge clinked against the cart handle. The alcohol wipes snapped and smoked the air. Liam blinked as the numbers climbed. I stepped aside and checked my phone. The screen cast a pale square over my palm. A message draft waited in a bright box. My thumb hovered over the coordinator name. Send it, he said. He watched my hands and then the bag drip. The bedside lamp warmed the corner a shade. I typed the conditions in tight lines. Coordinator updated, I said. The haptic click popped like a tiny spark. The legal pad curled at the corners from damp. I placed it on the tray for him. He picked up the pen and signed. The nib scratched with decisive little bites. The alcohol swab smell lingered like frost. His name looked steadier than his voice. One more thing, I said. The vent sighed and cooled the sweat on my neck. A plain envelope peeked from my backpack pocket. No cameras in this room, I added. I agree, he said. He set the pen down and folded his hands. The call light stayed a soft, unblinking star. He looked at the door like it might open. Ethan shifted near the sink without speaking. The faucet dripped once, and then again. A paper towel sat folded into a neat square. The silence stretched with teeth. We start labs for compatibility confirmation, I said. I lifted the envelope and slid out a card. The task light glared off the laminated edge. The card thudded when I placed it down. I am ready, Liam said. His eyes found mine and did not flinch. The blanket hem roughened under his fingertips. The monitor settled into a calm green climb. The nurse returned with a labeled kit. Plastic clinked against plastic in a soft chorus. A tourniquet lay coiled like a dark worm. She nodded at the consent lines and waited. Proceed, I said. My voice sounded even under the buzzing light. The sharps container yawned red by her elbow. She snapped on gloves with a dry snap. The needle kissed skin and drew a thread. The tube warmed in her fingers as it filled. The antiseptic cooled on my wrist from a straight drop. Drops can mean storms or a peace. She set the filled tube in the rack. The rack clicked against the tray like teeth. A cotton ball pressed and held its small cloud. Liam exhaled and closed his eyes. I placed my hand on the bed rail. The metal felt cold and sure against my palm. The clock hands crept to the next mark. The next mark felt like a cliff edge. The pre-op doors swung, and cold air cut deep. Iodine rose sharp under the bright ceiling panels. A stainless tray rattled by my knee. I kept my grip on the thin blanket, steady. Full name and procedure, the nurse said. Her badge tapped the 4-pole with each shift. The monitor hummed like a patient insect. A clipboard pressed lines into my palm. I answered while watching the clock hands crawl. Any questions before anesthesia? The doctor asked. His mask rustled in the harsh white light. The laryngoscope gleamed on the blue drape. I swallowed against the tube waiting nearby. Questions felt smaller than the room. No cameras in here, I said. I tilted my head as the tape tugged skin. The machine beeped in measured green climbs. A plastic consent card sat by my phone. The card mattered more than comfort now. A shadow crossed the doorway and paused. Cologne slipped under the iodine at once. A leather folio hovered like a dark flag. We have a statement prepared, Ethan said. Not yours, I said. I touched the consent card with 2 fingers. The blood pressure cuff squeezed and released slowly. The surgical light flared like a winter's sun. His silence bent like heated wire. 50 of propofol, the doctor said. The 4-line twitched against the taped skin. A cooling rush slid along my forearm. The drape rustled near a metal bowl. My chest rose slow and careful on command. Wait, the nurse said gently. Her eyes were calm in the masked frame. A foam wedge slid under my hip. The antiseptic wiped cold crescents on my back. Any last request? She asked. Post the truth tonight, I said. My voice thinned under the oxygen hiss. The pulse tone ticked like a metronome in rain. A capped syringe trembled in the nurse's hand. Truth could bite or heal, right? The world narrowed to the light and count. Numbers fell like coins into a metal tray. The tape pulled hair in tiny stings. A gloved hand anchored my shoulder there. Darkness came on rails. I surfaced to humming and woolly light. Plastic warmed my lips like a clumsy hand. A paper gown scratched my collarbone with grit. The ceiling tiles blurred into white islands, moving. Sip, the PACU nurse said. Ice chips clicked against a plastic spoon. The blanket weighed like a sandbag across hips. The antiseptic smell lingered under rubber scents. I swallowed with a dry ache and waited. My phone vibrated on the tray and slid. The screen lit the metal rail with a square. A sticker with my donor code caught the glow. 3 messages stacked like bricks, heavy. Read to me, I said. My throat rasped and burned a little. The nurse tilted the phone with latex fingers. The monitor sighed into a softer rhythm. She read the first message slowly. Draft posted by father, she read. The word father bent my fog like heat. The 4-pump clicked and clicked again. A pink emesis basin rested by my elbow. Draft meant spin in that voice. Next one, I said. I shifted and felt the bandage pull tight. The curtain hooks rattled when someone passed. A paper cup sweated onto the rolling table. Coordinator asks if conditions were met, she read. Reply yes to coordinator, I said. My fingers found the volume button by habit. The pulse sensor pinched my finger like a clothespin. The recovery bay light turned my skin chalky. The nurse nodded and typed quickly. Third message from him, she said. She angled the screen away from glare. The plastic bed remote dug into my hip. The steady fan pushed cool air across cheeks. She cleared her throat and continued. I will post the correction tonight, she read. Her voice softened into the humming room. A folded tissue lay useless by the water cup. I breathed through the ache spreading low and hot. Tonight sounded like a rope over water. Show me the draft, I said. She opened the link with a muted tap. The white screen blasted the dim like noon. A flimsy privacy curtain fluttered against my hand. The headline called me a brave family friend. Not a friend, I said. My breath hitched and steadied in beats. The forward tubing brushed my wrist like fish line. A felt-tip marker lay uncapped near the chart. Friend was a lie dressed neat. Change it now, I texted. I typed slow with a trembling thumb. The keys clicked like raindrops on tin. The plastic tray creaked under the small pressure. Words can hold someone to the fire. A silhouette appeared outside the curtain. The rod rings scraped like nickels in a jar. He stepped in with careful shoes and cologne. You should not be on your phone, Ethan said. Leave it, the nurse said. She stood solid between us in soft sneakers. The overhead light crowned the top rail harsh. A box of gauze sat open beside her hip. He lifted his hands like surrendering to air. We plan to protect privacy, he said. His voice kept that smooth courtroom polish. The bed motor hummed as I raised an inch. A plastic clip snagged the sheet near my thigh. Privacy without truth is a cage. Use my words, I said. I slid the felt tip into the nurse's palm. The point left black strokes on flimsy tissue. The antiseptic breeze tickled along my ribs. She held the tissue steady like a witness. No more family friend, I said. Each word landed like a coin on glass. The pulse tone quickened, then settled again. The metal four-pole rattled faintly with movement. He watched the letters like they might explode. Understood, he said. He tucked the tissue into the folio. The zipper teeth rasped like a small thread. The curtain cast a shadow long across my sheet. Understanding still isn't obedience. Give me your phone, I said. I held out my hand and waited. The recovery light bleached every edge to bone. His screen buzzed warm against my palm. I opened the app and typed slowly. I added the correction in 2 clean lines. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat in glass. The charging icon glowed a faint amber. I hit post and handed it back. The room felt briefly wider. Across the bay, someone moaned and coughed. A rolling stool squeaked toward a curtain gap. A metal basin clanged, once then stilled. The sound stacked like loose dishes, worrying. My mom appeared with a soft cough. Her hand shook around a brown paper bag. The fluorescent strip caught the gray near her temple. She set a folded cardigan by my feet. Her eyes searched for permission to speak. You okay? She asked. Her voice dripped with relief and salt. The alcohol hand gel popped under her thumb. A little bottle of apple juice peeked up. I nodded and looked toward the door. We saw the post, she said. She smoothed the cardigan edge again. The privacy curtain filtered light into dull squares. A plastic fork slid out of the bag and clattered. Her shoulders eased, but not all the way. Stay with me, I said. I reached for her wrist and squeezed. Her watch was warm against my palm. The room smelled like lemon and iron and cotton. She nodded and wiped her nose with a sleeve. The nurse returned with a new cup. Pills clicked in the paper like tiny bones. The bed rail felt cool against my fingers. She checked the monitor with quick eyes. Pain level, she asked. 6 and climbing, I said. She tucked the cup into my hand. The water tasted flat and metallic on tongue. The privacy screen shivered as someone rushed past. I swallowed and waited for heat to fade. My phone buzzed again on the tray. The light pulsed like a lighthouse through gauze. A cracked pop socket scraped the plastic edge. A message preview showed 3 words, video goes live. Open it, I said. The nurse steadied the tray with one hand. The fan whispered cold across my throat. The status bar counted down with a thin line. The line held like a breath before a dive. Schedule the post for sunrise, I typed. I set the time with slow, deliberate swipes. The operating lamp above us stayed dim. A cotton pad stuck to the crook of my elbow. Sunrise felt like a courtroom with witnesses. Done, my mom said. She touched the screen and nodded once. The apple juice bottle cooled my palm. The fluorescent light hummed in a deeper note. Tomorrow already pressed a finger to the glass. I closed my eyes and listened to beeps. The plastic blanket crackled as heat filled it. A rolled towel supported my lower back gently. The room floated on a clean chemical tide. Sleep hovered like a wary bird, ready. Before drifting, I texted him one line. The keyboard clicks sounded hard and certain. The charger cord tugged when I shifted again. I wrote the condition in black and white. Keep your word or the truth will. Sunlight sliced through the blinds and hit my phone. The vibration rattled the bedside tray like loose change. Antiseptic smell clung to the thin blanket. The screen flashed a new video, live now. I tapped play and heard Tinny's speaker hiss. Liam sat under hard hospital light, eyes steady. A paper wristband caught the glare and shook. His first words used mine with care. I chose cruelty, he said. I will name it and fix it, he said. The mic crackled against the sheet and stung. A folded statement trembled in his hand. He looked past the camera like at water. Comments poured like rain hitting metal gutters. The laptop fan whirred on the rolling table. Coffee steam lifted from a paper cup nearby. He promised counseling and a public correction tonight. My phone rang and buzzed across the tray. The caller ID threw his surname in blue. The plastic water pitcher creaked against the rail. I let it ring until the light died. A text followed with clipped legal words. The tone read smooth and cold like marble. The privacy curtain softened the daylight to milk. I slid the phone under a towel hushed. The door clicked and a soft voice entered. Paper rustled as the social worker opened a folder. Copier ink smell rode the air in thin ribbons. She placed a laminated policy card on the tray. No filming on this floor, she said. Security is briefed and stationed, she said. Her pen tapped twice against the clipboard. The taps sounded like small hammers. Footsteps stopped outside and then moved away. The hallway light leaked in like river water. A foam cup sat untouched by the call button. Quiet felt earned for a breath. My mom arrived with a dented thermos. Chicken broth steamed and filled the room warmly. Her coat brushed my arm with wool scratch. She slid an old photo from an envelope. That was after your recital, she said. You wanted the blue roses, she said. The glossy corner glinted under the task lamp. I closed my eyes and let it pierce. My phone buzzed again with a short note. The screen showed his message in careful lines. Disinfectant bit my throat as I swallowed slow. He asked if I could come by noon. After rounds, I typed back. I checked the wall clock with its tired tick. A dry cracker snapped between my fingers. The snap echoed louder than it should. Another alert blinked from a news app. Headline used the word correction without my prompting. The laptop's trackpad felt slick under taped skin. A linked charity removed a tag banner clean. A nurse adjusted the heater with quick hands. Warm air puffed along the blanket like breath. A plastic pill cup waited by the straw. Pain pulsed and settled into a dull shore. I stood and eased to the window. Wet soil smell rose from a small aloe pot. Morning light painted the sill in pale squares. Outside, a siren thinned and vanished. I texted the coordinator one clear update. Counseling appointment showed Friday at 4 on screen. The calendar icon glowed like a steady ember. Conditions were moving from ink to action. The hallway clock clicked toward the next hour. I tucked the photo into the backpack pocket. The zipper teeth rasped like distant cicadas. I stepped into the corridor and listened. The elevator chimed and doors slid open slow. Cool air washed over the polished floor. A blue latex glove lay curled by the baseboard. I carried an orange in my palm bright. At his door, the light was softer. Monitors hummed and stitched the silence tight. A plastic chair waited under the window shadow. I knocked once and felt everything lean forward.